Thank you very much for being here for what I truly believe will be the changing of the guard of Mexican boxing from Canelo Alvarez to Jaime Munguia. My sole purpose in this promotion is to support Jaime, an undefeated, incredible talent who deserves the stage and spotlight at this point of his career. However, I would be remiss if I didn't respond to the man I used to promote. He seems to have trouble remembering who helped him become a true global star. To be clear, I have nothing but respect for Canelo Alvarez as a fighter. His record and abilities speak for themselves. But he has spent much of the last 2 months insulting me rather than promoting this fight. So I'll make it a little bit easier for him. Yes, I have faced a lot of challenges in my life. Yes, I've been to rehab several times. Yes, there were some really low points in my life, and yes, there were times that work was not my priority based on my mental health, which I had neglected for so long. But that doesn't change the fact that Golden Boy built Canelo Alvarez, period. The company you fought under for decades has always had one name, and it's mine. So put some fucking respect on it.
Welcome into Deep Waters, and just like Oscar De La Hoya, we are starting out hot. If you didn't see the response from Canelo Alvarez, got in De La Hoya's face, and a lot of stuff that you can't exactly put in Google Translate. Jimmy Smith alongside Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri. Let's start with it. All right, he said he was going to go after Canelo. De La Hoya did just that, but in the end, is he writing checks that Munguia, his fighter, has to cash on Saturday?
I think it's on the fighter to catch them or not.
Right.
You know, and honestly, you're here. You're on fight week. I can remember fight week for Tyson versus Holyfield, and Tyson's team, Rory, Don Horn, and Roy Holloway. They were like two of Don King's minions, and they were basically saying Holyfield had said some things, and Holyfield was like, I didn't say those things, and they were like, yeah, you said those things, and Tyson was trying to, and at the end, Holyfield was like, bro, we got to fight anyway. You want to believe? If we got to believe, you want to believe I said it? Fine, bro. But we're going to fight Saturday. So I think, okay, yeah, Munguia has to cash the check, but cash the words that Oscar said or not. They got to fight either way. Like Munguia at that point, yeah, some people might disagree and say, oh, the promoter shouldn't be injecting himself into the promotion. I get it. This might actually sell some tickets. Who knows, you know? But I'll tell you what, Munguia's got to fight anyway. So Munguia should be charged up and ready regardless. They shouldn't take this as anything. This shouldn't be any added pressure on Munguia. Munguia knows what's on the line here. Everything he's worked for his entire life is represented in this fight.
Yeah, Chris, let's go with that. Mind games, right? We talked a little bit about Freddie Roach, right? Yesterday, what is he going to do as a coach? His mind games, he's a master of the tricks. These aren't high school kids, all right? These are professionals. They have been successful at the elite level, especially Canelo. Do we overblow them? It's so fun to talk about here on this desk about the mind games. Are they overblown when it comes to the nuts and bolts of the actual fight?
Absolutely, I think so. I mean, like Champ Paulie Malignaggi said, like, yeah, you're still gonna fight. I'm still gonna get to punch you in the face. So whatever gets said, and especially when it's coming from like a trainer or whatever. I remember when I was fighting Ruslan Bronco and Manny Pacquiao. Freddie Roach, he's a guy. He chirps a lot. I remember my trainer was getting pissed. I didn't care. I was like, I got to fight I'm not fighting Freddie. I'm going to fight your guy. And your guy can't talk or doesn't speak English that well, so whatever. But it never bothered me what he said. This is all pageantry for everybody else. I mean, it's great. I'm excited about it. Watching that clip made me excited for this weekend. So I think it's doing its job. But I will say, Canelo does look genuinely mad. And that's something that I think matters.
Yeah, he got in De La Hoya's face.
Dude, competition breeds bad blood. I don't mind if Oscar has to inject it. I don't care if Canelo has to inject it.
Yeah, but this is not just competition. These guys have history.
There's a history there, of course, man. And you know what?
And by these guys, I mean Canelo and
I feel like both guys have the right to have their say there. I think so. You know, I think Oscar has a right to say there, and I think Canelo has a right to respond there. You know, and if anybody gets distracted from the actual goal, which is Saturday night, well, that's on them, man. Because like you said, they're professionals. Yeah. You're not supposed to let anything distract you from the goal of winning Saturday night. But I don't have a problem with what happened today. I don't have a problem with Oscar getting his 2 cents. He's probably been waiting for many years. He finally has an opponent to face his former fighter. And Canelo may have been waiting too, because obviously Canelo has said a lot of things about Oscar when Oscar's not around, so now Oscar wanted to address it. And Canelo has every right to address Oscar right then and there too as well, and get angry about certain things as well. I don't have a problem with anything that happened today. I really don't.
Not only do I not have a problem with it, I like it. I like this stuff. I like that aggression at the press conference like that. I was thinking, off air, we were talking. I'm like, man, has a fighter ever punched out a promoter?
They've wanted
during
to.
the press conference.
Many times.
That would be new.
And the promoter doesn't want to, because we figure Oscar could throw a left hook too, but Oscar doesn't want to throw a left hook at Canelo either, because then maybe you might not have a fight Saturday night. So. You're in a position, you're like kind of between a rock and a hard place. Both guys. Canelo doesn't want to hurt his hand throwing a punch either, right? So we got what we got.
Now, Chris, is this De La Hoya? We discussed it yesterday on the show. De La Hoya right now has had a lot of success as a promoter, right? Yeah. His fighters are doing very, very well. Some big things coming up. Is he feeling himself? And this confrontation with Canelo is maybe part of that. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, he's on an awesome 3-week run. He had the big upset of Ryan Garcia, his guy, over Devin Haney. He had last weekend where the reemergence of Virgil Ortiz and Jose Ramirez. And now he's got a Canelo weekend with a guy.
Himself.
Hell yeah, he's feeling saucy. So he's got the opportunity
strong.
on Cinco de Mayo. He's feeling saucy. He's got his salsa, but he's feeling good right now. So yeah, I think he's taking the opportunity. He has a mouthpiece now. He's at the podium, and like to your point, champ. Yeah, Canelo apparently was talking throughout the promotion. Well, guess what? We're in front of each other right now. I got a podium. Everyone's going to see this. I'm going to call you out. I'm okay with all of it.
So we told Canelo to go get his shine box, right? We all heard that one, right? But would you want your promoter doing that before your big fight? You guys have been in this situation where would you want your promoter taking the podium and saying something like that, Paulie?
Dude, I really don't care. Because you're talking to me, I would have probably already been insulted. If I'm Jaime Munguia, I would have been insulting my opponent 3 months before already. So by fight week, it would have just been normal, So I'm the wrong guy to ask for this, because for me, all bets are off. I think when you're promoting a fight and there is, dude, whether it's for promotion or not, there's genuine animosity. You're about to go fight somebody, and then it's fight week. Your nerves are a little bit more antsy because you're gonna go fight this person. You've been training for this person for months and upon months. So, Canelo's more on edge as well. I don't have a problem with him, getting up and addressing everything and doing what he did. Dude, I think it's good for the promotion, but I think it's more than just promotion. I think a lot of it is personal as well.
For fighters who don't talk a lot, do they need the Oscar De La Hoyas? Do they need the opponent necessarily, hyping the fight? Sometimes we see that the A side, B side, one fighter isn't a big talker, and I'm like, you should get on your knees thanking the other guy for being such a trash talker and bringing all these eyeballs, because you really don't want to do it. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those guys. I took a very different approach than Paulie. Obviously, I was a much more respectful guy, and I respected my opponents and the guys. Even Freddie when he was talking trash, dude, I didn't care. I'm still again, I'm going to get to punch you in the face, and so I have that opportunity. That's coming down the line. But if my promoter wanted to go throw barbs at the opponent, I don't care. Cool, go ahead. It could be a whirlwind around me. I'm focused on the fight. I'm focused on what I got to do. And listen, if it gets more eyes and more money in my pocket, then it's great. And so I have no complaints if that were to happen. So I think Munguia is sitting back like, he should be sitting back like ching, 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 cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah. And like we said at the top, you still got to fight.
Yeah.
You're going to fight anyway. The Saturday night, you're going to be across from each other and the bell's going to ring. You're going to fight. Either way.
It's about the fight. It's about the money, which begs the question, of course, does Canelo still deserve the big spot that is Cinco de Mayo? We discuss it when we come back.
Wednesday Night Fights. On the next Wednesday Night Fights, May 8th, the UK's Robbie Davies Jr. takes on former IBF world champ Sergey Lipinets. Wednesday Night Fights.
That's right, a former world champion coming to ProBox TV next Wednesday. Check it out. It's going to be an amazing fight. But we're focused on this weekend. That's right, Canelo Alvarez. This is where the press ramps up. Lance is our boots on the ground for ProBox TV. Take it away.
Hey everybody, this is Lance Pugmire with Boxing Scene. I'm joined by my colleague Declan Warrington. We're here at Canelo Alvarez's press conference to fight Jaime Munguia. And look, Deck, as much as we can talk about some of the other things brewing behind the scenes, it's a Canelo fight week, and the masses turn out for it.
Yeah, you can see the place has transformed. We shot a video this time yesterday, and there weren't a fraction of the number of people here. Now it's like the fight's tomorrow. even by Vegas standards, this is quite early for this kind of hype. There are fans outside the room as we speak now. You can hear them. Yeah, Alvarez still sells.
It's a compelling matchup on so many levels. You've got Canelo at age 33 fighting his countryman for the first time since 2017 in Munguia, who's coming off being involved in the 2023 Fight of the Year.
Yep.
And beating a guy, knocking out a guy that Canelo went the distance with in John Ryder in January. So a lot of compelling points here. What are you looking for most at this news conference?
To see, I guess, if both fighters are as relaxed as they were yesterday. I don't expect anything different from Alvarez. He's been here so many times, but this is far bigger than anything Munguia's known. He looked healthy yesterday. He looked ready to fight. But remember, he's still making weight, and there's a risk this occasion could overwhelm him. He's not used to that. So I guess it'll be all eyes on Munguia, seeing how he's taking the occasion in.
Great. Well, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Thanks to the guys from Boxing Scene for that report. Look, this is Canelo Alvarez's 14th date as a headliner on Cinco de Mayo or Mexican Independence Day. Jose Benavidez said, "Wouldn't fight my son David. These are exhibitions. Canelo doesn't deserve these dates." But you saw behind those gentlemen, he still sells. It's still packed. We can talk about deserve, right, wrong, all those things. We're not in a courtroom, gentlemen. This is boxing. What sells? Canelo still sells. Paulie, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, he's still the most popular fighter in the sport. I think Ryan Garcia is starting to catch him from behind a little bit at a time. And I think as Canelo starts to fade away, you got the opportunity for a Ryan Garcia to sort of take over that mantle possibly, as also a couple of other guys. But, Jose also has a point too. He's supposed to be fighting. Cinco de Mayo was made for the best possible fight to be made, right? I mean, it is a Mexican holiday. So is the second week in September. Mexican holiday. There's always big Mexican fighters there. Mayweather kind of hijacked it for a while. So at this point, it's become more of the boxing holiday. Cinco de Mayo and mid-September pay-per-view cards are always typically, at least on paper, the biggest fights of the year. And so is Canelo still involved in the biggest fights of the year? He's definitely in the conversation. If he's not, he's in the conversation. I know the Saudis are starting to take a lot of those big fights as well. But as far as fanfare, hype, and anticipation for the big moment, the big event, it's still Canelo Alvarez right now, even if he's probably not even the best super middleweight in the world. So Jose does have an argument, but we're talking about popularity here right now.
Chris, Paulie just brought it up. Floyd Mayweather. Is this essentially, I hate to call it, but I will, the Mayweather model of who makes me the most money, who can I beat for the most money to get the most eyeballs? Is Canelo kind of following that, and is this Cinco de Mayo fight part of that, and should it be different, right? Should it be a Cinco de Mayo? Should go to war on Cinco de Mayo? What are your thoughts on all that, Chris?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because really this started with Oscar De La Hoya. So he was that first guy. He was the golden boy who fought on the Cinco de Mayo weekend. Floyd beat De La Hoya, and then he took over that mantle where they get those 2 fights a year, right? You get the May fight, you get the September fight, and those are our boxing holidays, like the champ said. So, but Floyd, he fought some super champions over the years. I mean, incredible
at their best.
At their best. Yeah, incredible run.
No maneuvering.
But the thing about Floyd is, which a lot of his detractors say, it wasn't the most exciting guy. It wasn't the most exciting fights. So he kind of created the model that it wasn't going to be the most exciting fight. It wasn't going to be the best fight, but it was the biggest fight because he's the money guy. And now Canelo, who is in exciting fights, can make exciting fights, and is not fighting the very best guy in the division, is where the detractors come from for Canelo. But listen, I was at Canelo-Charlo fight week. Dude, Canelo fight weeks are still there. Like, it doesn't matter. No one thought Charlo was going to win. Nobody there thought he was going to win. But everyone was still excited because it was a Canelo fight week. Mexican fans come out. They're the best fans in the world. I say that over and over again. Mexican fans come out, and they write hard for their people. Now, this week, we're going to have double Mexican.
That was an exhibition. I mean, not even, you talk about nobody thought Charlo was going to win. Not even Charlo thought Charlo was going to win, and he fought that way.
Yeah, and but that's my point, though. Like, there was still a vibe on fight week. It was still a Vegas fight week. It was still a Canelo fight weekend. This is even way bigger.
So is this like a? I think Munguia is a good fight. I think
you said yesterday he's a top four.
I don't think he's a Charlo
super
type of. I don't think he's going to show up like Charlo and just mail it in. Okay, but yes, I think we all agree Benavidez is the guy, right? But I think Munguia is a solid opponent. He's going to come to win. But we're talking about everybody was excited, even though nobody thought Charlo was going to win. So are Canelo fans? And I know I've made fun of MMA fans for being this stupid, but I mean, are we getting to that point in boxing where you're just showing up for a coronation. You don't even want to see a good fight.
But
Like,
that's what
as
part
long
of
as
what,
your
that's,
guy
that's
wins.
part of being a
like-
fan, though. A fan base, though. Like, if,
but I grew up like a New York Giants fan, right? Like, okay, the New York Giants, if they won on Sundays, I was happy no matter how they won, right? But they're playing every Sunday at least, bro. Like, I get it. The next, it might not be a good game here.
But also, if they
you're
suck,
fighting once or twice a year. I want to see a good fight. I want to see a coronation once a year while I'm spending my money.
But also, if
I don't
they-
have to pay to see the Giants. I can watch them on TV.
But also, if they sucked, you'd still tune in. You still root for them. You still, that's my team. You know, that's
Yeah.
That's what the word fan comes from. Fanatic.
But I didn't pay for that. I'm not paying for that.
I mean,
And honestly, when the Giants sucked, everybody was scalping their tickets anyway, so you could easily get a ticket to the Giant game. You know, like this thing is more like a core. I mean, yeah, they're not as bad as MMA fans. So they'll show up for McGregor. I mean, no matter how many times in a row he gets.
You're
his ass
telling
whooped.
me. Trust me, I know.
That guy could just get his ass whooped every week and they'll still show up. But I don't think it's as bad as boxing. But I mean, you're basically showing up for a coronation. You know, because I tell you what, it's not knocking this fight. I would rather see the Benavidez fight, but I think this fight is going to be a fun fight.
I think it's a great
I don't
fight.
think
This is a great
I
fight.
cannot see because Munguia has the pressure on him too, as a Mexican, to show up in that Mexican, historical figure of the past and say, "You go out fighting." I don't know, man. Are we here? We're not here for coronations, bro. Cinco de Mayo is supposed to be mega fights.
And that's what we're about to talk about, which is you can be Mexican, you can fight Mexican. Will we see a Mexican-style fight come Saturday? We'll discuss it when we come back. It's going to be a banger May 8th. Will it be a banger on Cinco de Mayo? That is our question. That's what it has been sold as. Why? It is Mexico versus Mexico. My question for my esteemed panel here, start with you, Paulie, is Mexico versus Mexico, but Canelo is the Mexican star, the idol. Does it take a little bit away from him? Would you rather see Mexico versus some other country, some other ethnicities, got a rivalry going on? Because Canelo is the star in Mexico. What are
No,
your
I
thoughts?
said this the other day. You know, you get really excited for Mexico versus Puerto Rico. It's the standard big rivalry. But I tell you what, Mexico versus Mexico is low key. A lot of times even better. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to be the second best Mexican when you got a chance to be the star of Mexico, a nation that really prides itself on its mastery and love of boxing. So I think, Mexico versus Mexico is low-key a very, very fun rivalry. And we've seen that in the history of boxing. Two top Mexican fighters. Yes, it engages the Mexican community, but it engages the whole world in boxing because these guys typically get to world-class level and end up fighting each other at world-class level. Having said that, how many shootouts has Canelo Alvarez been as far as you can remember and be like, oh, wow, it's a Mexican-style fighter? Okay, so what are we talking
Well, so
about? Does that even have anything to do with anything? We can say it about Jaime Munguia.
Yeah. But so to that point, though, so when Canelo fought Triple G the first time, he got a lot of flack for not fighting like a Mexican fighter. He fought more like a counterpuncher. He backed up, he circled a lot. Second fight, steps up to the plate, goes forward, pushes the pace more. Mexico loves him once again, brings him in. So yeah, he's been in the shootout, like the second Triple G fight, but I don't see him going punch for punch in a Mexican-style fight against Munguia. I don't think that would be a good idea for Canelo because he just doesn't have the output to match the pace of the younger, fresher Munguia. I think his best ability is going to be his counterpunching ability, his game-changing power, and his ability to find those holes. Because Munguia he's going to bring it. He's going to fight Mexican style.
I tell you, and that's really a great point, Jam, because I think Munguia can only fight that way. I think
he's not coming out there and jabbing.
He represents that Mexican warrior style, right? I don't think he's in any bad fights, no matter who he's fighting.
He's allergic to bad fights.
Which can kind of work against him against a sharpshooter like Canelo, right? Because Canelo punches in between you. But Canelo also has a very average jab. So that means Munguia may be able to get in there and get off those punch salvos at times. But Canelo can also punch in between them and possibly hurt him. I think there's moments where questions could be asked of Canelo and where he may have to bring that inner Mexican out of him, which honestly I don't. The second Triple G fight, he's 35, 36, Triple G. What is he, 35, 36 at that point, Yeah. That's the only time we've really seen it against a 35, 36-year-old, and that's it. We didn't see it at all against Bivol when he needed to see it.
He didn't have a willing dance partner that night either, though. Bivol wasn't going to fight a stand for him.
But you're putting you on the ropes, bro. You're going in ropes yourself. You can still go after him. Nonetheless, that's my curiosity to fight. I don't know everybody else's curiosity to fight. Like I said, I don't think this is one of those coronation fights. I don't think it's a John Ryder fight or a Charlo fight or the third Triple G fight where you're fighting a 150-year-old guy. I think this is a a guy who's coming to fight. So I think there could be some questions asked, and that's the curiosity and genuine thing that makes me want to look excited for the fight.
And I'll take it even further. Not only do I think he's going to come and show up and fight, like, he can actually win this fight. It's possible. Listen, it's definitely the underdog, and I'm not saying he's going to, but he could certainly win this fight.
He could win the fight, but I tell you I'll tell you, I'll put it this way: for Canelo to win the fight, I think he has to go for it. I don't think it's going to be handed to him like the Charlo fight. The Charlo fight was just like he just had to show up. He had already a guy who was going to give it to him already. The Golovkin third fight, granted I think Canelo hurt his hand, but Golovkin was really spent already. They're 40 years old, spent. Ryder, it was a coronation in Mexico. I think you got a guy who, at least if Canelo wins this fight, he's going to have to show something, I think he wins the fight. I think it's maybe a year too soon for Munguia. But I think Munguia is going to bring enough to the table, to the dance, to force Canelo to show that he has still something in the tank to dig in.
Well, the X's and O's, but now it is fight week. It's all about the mental side of it. I throw it to my panel about what they did to get ready for their first big fight when we come back to Deep Waters. Welcome back to Deep Waters. We're discussing Cinco de Mayo. Canelo Alvarez, not his first rodeo. Jaime Munguia, less experience, doesn't really have the resume for the big fight like Canelo does. So I throw it to my panel. Start with you, Paulie. Mentally, that first big fight, right? The first big one, first big pay-per-view. What's that week like? How do you get ready?
I mean, you have to try your best to approach it like any other big fight you've had. Listen, this is always going to be the biggest one. Canelo is always the biggest fight of your career if you're in and around his weight classes. But Munguia's been in big fights, and I've been in the arena when Munguia has been in a packed. Was it the Pond in Anaheim? I've been there. It's packed, it's jammed, it's loud because Munguia, brings that kind of style where everybody's on their feet. So, some things are new in terms of the magnitude of this fight. But once you're in there fighting, the crowd's going to get loud.
Did you feel it stop affecting you? You're like, all right, I'm in the ring, suddenly I don't feel all that. How did it feel for you?
I mean, when I fought Miguel Cotto on pay-per-view, it was my first big fight. So there was something different than everything else I had experienced. But after that, every big fight I was in, granted I was never in a Canelo-type fight, but every big fight I was in, big arenas, loud arenas, in stadiums even, it kind of becomes normalized to you. A fight atmosphere is a fight atmosphere, and you also understand how to get there mentally because it's really a similar approach each and every time. Yes, you get those butterflies. Some fights are bigger than others, but you've been in big fights and you know the importance of them.
Chris, how was it for you when you look at the preparation and people around you getting you ready? What was the X factor in those big fights?
My trajectory was so fast. It was exponential how quickly I got from, literally fighting in my hometown to fighting Manny Pacquiao in Macau. It was such a blur at the time. I was just so focused. I think a couple days ago you said that I was like the nerd in school. Well, I was a nerd in the gym too. I left no stone unturned. I trained so hard. I did everything right. I went to sleep early. All my food was perfect. My training was exceptional. I had all the good sparring partners. I left no stone unturned. And that was the way that I was able to deal with any kind of nerves going into a fight. Homework. I did my homework. So I was prepared. I always knew I was prepared for every fight, even if I didn't know what I needed to have, right? It was like that kid who puts extra stuff in his backpack. That was me. I was always prepared. I was like a survivalist. So for me, all those step-ups, man, once I got to that tunnel, they were all the same. The tunnel, once I got to that tunnel, everything was the same. It was everything beforehand. But Pacquiao especially, fight week was really tough on me. I didn't know the ropes. My team didn't know the ropes. They ran me all over Macau. They were taking me there. I kept showing up to press events, and Manny wasn't there. I'm like, where's Manny? They're like, oh, no, he's not on this one. I'm like, I'm hanging out with kids and doing basketball.
But Manny already knew the drill. Like, don't show up.
Manny's like, I don't need to do this.
Not doing any of that.
But once
that's where Munguia has Oscar to make him.
Right, exactly. He's got a team that knows the ropes. So yeah, but again, once I got to the tunnel, everything that I had done in the gym and on the road was there. And I think that's what I see from Munguia. He looks like a focused guy.
Well, you could see from the images behind us the abs those guys got from putting in the work. Hopefully, Jaime Munguia has done the same. We'll find out Saturday. This has been Deep Waters. Thanks for watching.